Hey guys, welcome to the show Maraha. Today we ran the BOHERMEEN half marathon. Probably about the fifth, possibly the sixth, but definitely about 5 or 6 times I've ran that half marathon. Had a great day. Me and on Bankela got to go down, just the two of us. Ran the race, got to meet loads of great friends, great chats, decent run. Weather held off reasonably well, but that's what we did today. Let's talk about what happened this week in the training leading into BOHERMEEN and what the plan is for the next 7 weeks leading into Limerick. So as you probably remember from last week's video, last weekend, I was hoping to do a 10 mile steady run, and I got to 9, and it was extremely windy, and I was really happy because I was struggling a little bit the weeks beforehand, so I was really happy with that. And I remember I tied up after about 6 miles and gradually got a little bit slower until I got to 9 before I called it a day. So this week, basically just ran easy miles for the week. Didn't run the 2 days on Friday and yesterday before the race, but I was in the pool 4 days in a row and I got some really good solid training in the pool, where I was doing a 2 by a K at a really steady pace, like doing a tempo run. So it'd take me about 18 plus minutes to do the 1K. So it's kind of like doing maybe, you know, 2 by 2.5 miles, something like that, at a good steady pace, where you get that really consistent heart rate up in the orange zone, where you're trying to improve that lactate threshold. And I did some 2K swims as well, so swimming 2K at a steady pace as well. So during the week when I was doing those, I could feel the progress in regards how I felt doing them and the pace I was able to achieve. So looking at the race today, running wise, I wasn't 100% confident, but fitness wise, I felt I had turned a bit of a corner. As the race transpired, both things were true. In regards, for the first couple of miles, the pace I was hitting was really good in regards how I actually felt. So I started the race. You can see here a big crowd in the race. I started the race well back. Normally in a race like this, if I was in good shape going into it, I'd be like maybe in the third row, but I was well back, and got really held up at the start. Now, I was kind of planning for that. Like, I didn't mind being held up at the start. I wanted to be checked at the start so I wouldn't go off too hard. But unfortunately, even though I did that, I still ran my fastest mile of the race. I ran 6:13 for the first mile, and like, it was faster than I had envisaged, but it felt absolutely fine. The next mile then was in the low 6:20s, and then I had a 6:16, I think, and then a 6:19, something like that. So the first 4 miles, were really good, and I felt, fine. The wind was an issue. Um, there's a long straight that you run along where the wind was into your face the whole way along, and it's over 2 miles long, a little over 2 miles long. So you're running into a strong wind for over 2 miles, and halfway through that stretch, you have to run over the M3 motorway, and it's a good steady climb up one side and then a good roll off down the other side. The first time you go over in the races in mile 2 and 3, um, loads of people around you, get a bit of blockage from the wind early in the race, so you're still pretty fresh, so it wasn't too bad. So that was the first lap. Hit mile 5, back into the wind, and then back onto the what you'd call a home start straight, where the wind wasn't really an issue. Another part where you go over the motorway, but it's less of a climb. And then you come around to that part again where you had that 2 miles into the wind and that climb over the motorway. So you're talking mile 9 and 10. And that's where, for a lot of people, they started to really struggle in the race. So up to that point, I was well on for maybe hitting 6:20-ish pace. But that really took it out of me, running into the wind for the 2 miles and that bit of a hill. It wasn't some more so the hill, but the wind. So anyone out there today looking for a time, probably struggled to hit, maybe looking for PBs and stuff, maybe possibly struggled to hit it because of that strong wind. Like, I've ran that course loads of times, and it's always, you always get a bit of wind, but it can make the difference. That bit of wind, you don't get back when the wind is at your back. You don't get back what you lose running into the wind. So when you have a stretch like that, a long stretch like that, twice in a race, so you're talking about 5 miles at the race, or you're running into this really strong headwind, like so. And then there's another part where in mile 5 we were running into it as well. So you're talking at least 6. You're talking nearly half the race into a really strong headwind, and you don't get that benefit back the other way. So it was tough enough for people. And those 2 miles knocked the stuffing out of me, and I slipped out to running around 6:40 for those 2 miles. I got it back down into the low 6:30s then, for the last two miles, 2 or 3 miles. I came over the finish line, and it was two of my friends there, Kieran DeVinny and Alan Sheehy, who had really good runs. Alan ran 81 minutes and Kieran ran 76. So really well done to them. And they started to talk to me, and the brain was just pure fuzz. It took me about a minute or 90 seconds to even be able to converse with them. All the way through during the race, I was just looking for that opt out, looking for a reason to stop. And I get that a lot in races, but I generally tend to finish them. Once you get in, a couple of miles from the finish, you dog it out. That's what I did today. All that was in my head was get to 10 miles, and if you really want to stop then. But sure, you get to 10 miles, you're like, sure, I've only 3 to go, let's keep going. And the really positive thing for me today was I went through the 10 miles today slight bit faster than I actually ran the 10-mile race in Dungarvan back on February 6th. So that was a really, really positive for me. And running the last 3 miles at a reasonably decent pace, a faster pace than I'd run my steady runs in. So that's really encouraging. So I have 7 weeks to go now to Limerick Marathon. And quite not, I don't think, in the same shape I was 7 weeks out from doing the London Marathon. But with coming into the longer evenings and better weather, that can be to my advantage in regards to getting good training done. So I'm not writing off going faster in Limerick than I did in London, which was a 3:08ish. I think it's a reasonable, at this stage, a very reasonable target to run a faster time in Limerick. So that's the week gone by and today's race. The thing about today was the atmosphere. It was a really, really enjoyable atmosphere at the race today. The one thing I really love about this race is the mix of clubs. You have clubs from all over the country running in this race. Newcastle up in County Down, Kilkenny City Harriers, Slaney Olympic in Wexford, the Nor Harriers, Crusaders, Clonliffe, all the big Dublin clubs, Brothers Pierce, Tala AC, then all Kildare clubs, Selbridge, Clane, Dunshaughlin, St. Cocas, just such a mix of club singlets. It's one of those races that is a kind of unofficial kind of championship race in a way, because the quality in the race is extremely high. I'm fairly sure it was Jake O'Regan from St. John's who won the race, and he ran like 64 minutes on a windy day, which is really fair play. That's a really great run. And there was plenty of lads there just not that far behind him, so the standard is quite high in the race, but the standard the whole way down through the field is really good. So like for the whole race today, even though in the second lap it thins out, you're still in with guys and you're pushing and pulling and dragging and trying to keep up with this and fight off somebody passing you. It's just really good, like, because club runners in a way, they race each other. They're not running, they're racing. Now they might know you from Adam, but you're running with each other for a couple of miles and you're racing each other, but at the end of it then it's like, well done, and you kept me going, and fair play to you, and we see you the next day, and did you get a PB, and if you did, well done, and all that kind of stuff. But when you're out there, club runners, when we run with each other, we really push each other on, which is great. And that mix of clubs. And then after the race, even though there was no refreshments after the race, there was loads of groups of people standing around chatting with smiles on their face, which is absolutely fantastic to see. We don't need the refreshments. they're a real bonus in regards the social aspect of running. We don't need people to organise tea and coffee and sandwiches and stuff for us to be able to be in each other's company and enjoy each other's chat about the day that we've had, our trials and tribulations with regards our running, what our plans are, what our goals are. But it would be great to have it back, and hopefully, please God, soon all of that will be back in place. Hopefully by the end of the year. You still see it with races, they'll put it in their flyer. There will be no refreshments after the race. It's disappointing, but look, we'll get there. So next up for me, 7 weeks to Limerick. There's a list of races that I could do. I have my own county intermediates. As far as I know, I'm eligible to run in about 3 weeks' time, I think. Possibly do that because it's in North Wexford, so it's not far for me to get to here from Dublin. Couple of races I have in mind. One in particular could be possibly the Battle of Clontarf 10 mile in St Anne's Park. It's, as far as I know, it's a Leinster Championship race, but it's only just over the road from me, so it will be extremely convenient. And I think it's like 2 or 3 weeks before Limerick, which would be, be a good tester before the marathon. That would be like 4 weeks from this weekend. So 4 weeks of good training and see what time I could run over 10 miles and give me a good indicator of where I am with regards the marathon. A couple of other bits and bobs of races. There's going to be a lot of racing now in the next couple of weeks. So I've loads to choose from, and you guys have loads to choose from as well, which is absolutely fantastic. I'd like to give a shout out to Tony Kynes of the Nor Harriers, 65 years, maybe 66 years young, who made his debut today in the BOHERMEEN half marathon, his very first ever half marathon. Now, I haven't checked his time, but I think he came in around 1:36, which is absolutely fantastic running, especially considering that Tony actually forgot his racing shoes and had to run in an old pair of running shoes. So, well done, Tony. Super stuff. As we say, you live and you learn, you make little mistakes as you go along. But that was a super debut by Tony. Also saw a couple of friends of the channel there today. Lyndon Thomas from Dunboyne. 2 guys from Slaney Olympic I bumped into as well. Conal Cooper and Bosco. So hello to you guys and well done. Two guys had great runs, 77 minutes, something like that. Fantastic running. Loads of super times there today. My workmate Chris Quaid on his quest to run sub 250 in Rotterdam, is it? Or Amsterdam? No, Rotterdam, that's it. He ran a super 78.54 there today. So hats off to him. That's a super time on a windy course. Well done to anyone who ran today, whether it was in Bohermeen or Crockwell or loads of races around the country. I hope the weather was kind to you. I hope you all had good runs. I hope you all got home safely. And I hope your training is going the way you want it to go. So thanks very much, guys, for tuning in. Thanks very much to all the people who have subscribed to the channel, who are supporting the channel and encouraging me to keep doing what I'm doing. The next race I'm going to cover, everything going well, will be the Dunboyne 10K in 2 weeks' time. So if you see me there, come over and say hello. If you haven't subscribed, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe. And thanks very much, and we'll see you soon.